other than that there may be a limit on them. It's a little frustrating because my husband and I moved here with our two youngest children who are adults, but in order for them to use the facility, they have to get guest passes. I had gone to sit and I was told that they could not get cards, that I had to get a guest pass every 2 weeks for them. And if you're going to put a limit on that, that means that the two kids of mine who live with me are going to have a limit on how often they can go and use any of the facilities here. And while we're unusual in that we have 7 children between us and 7 grandchildren, so not that I would expect to see all 7 families here throughout an entire year, but that would also limit the amount of time that I'd be able to get my family to come here, visit us, and use any of the facilities here just by vacationing with us. And that's one reason why we came here and moved where there's lakes, is so that my kids and my grandkids could come here and visit. And I'm sure there's a lot of other retired people here who also have children and grandchildren who will be coming as well. And may have been the reason why they moved to where there were amenities such as those that are offered here. Thank you.
Betsy? Am I not mistaken, but the young children are with their parents, they don't need these passes, right?
Correct. And any child under 5 doesn't need a guest pass. Anyone, even an adult with a property owner, doesn't need a guest pass. Just if they want to go without that.
Good afternoon, Bob Dryer, 16 Pepsi Circle. Remember last month I spoke about proposed regulations limiting walkers and on the car path golf courses. I suggested and I gave you a letter in my thoughts, use a common sense approach to this. I suggested that people able to get passes to walk on the golf course, clubhouses, especially those of us that live on the golf course, who put up with golfers driving carts to our backyard, walking their yard, hitting the house, hitting the streets, hitting against our garage doors with golf balls. A week after the meeting, sitting in the room, young lad, they're going to turn, walk in the backyard, looking for a ball. Obviously, next thing you know, there's 3 more kids and 2 adults. And I said, 3 more golf, and 5 are looking for it. Anyway, I was courteous to them. And I told them to look for it because I didn't appreciate that. Yesterday, I golf walked to the house again. Guess I'm asking some relief, I guess, for those of us who are up to, let's say, disrespectful golf for ourselves. So, my suggestion would be get a pass at the golf club, be able to walk, list the rule of golf etiquette, get out of the way, sight of the golfers, let them pass by, then you walk. A lot of folks just don't know that, golf, we're going to do a golf etiquette, so I would hope you would consider my thoughts on this, and hopefully I'll be there now.
Are there other participants who'd like to speak to the council? Thank you. Let's move to old business. David Legal and Tony Stallsmith and Betsy met with several realtors, and we're going to ask David and Tony to give us an update on their meeting with the realtors. You have the floor, gentlemen.
We met with a group of realtors from around Cherokee V. I believe they all belong to the board of realtors here. And we wanted to address, one was bulk lot sales, as well as the maybe other helpful ways we can sell property. And things I got, that I took away from this meeting were these points. They wanted some real-time information on our amenities and our future plans, so that would help them sell their properties, any property that was in Cherokee Village, and they would like tell them things that weren't true, and then people come back on them and say, this is what we were promising, it's not what's happening. But they also like to know what the future plans are, so they know, for people that are moving in, know what we're doing and what could possibly, and Betsy could probably go address that later. Ask her to put out something for them. I think we also need to get a full list of our properties that we own outright. So I'd like to see how we can accomplish this. I think that's something we need to do. I mean, I heard last fall that we had 800 properties, and now we have close to 7,000. And I'm not sure how that happened or why that happened or where this came from. So I'd like to know, I guess, moving forward, we need to know, I know we're doing away with our software to get these list of properties so we can find out what list of properties that we have. And Randy Durden, who was the chairman of that board, the religion board, he would like for, he said, send us a list of properties. We'll send it out to all of the realtors, and we can help you sell those properties for our board. We talked about some bad city assessments. From what I understand, while we own the properties, assessments are not being paid, right? We don't pay ourselves.
Correct.
So once somebody else buys them, then those assessments the next year start being assessed, and they have to pay whatever assessment is left from the lawsuit. Some other realtors also thought that we need to discount our properties even further when they buy in bulk, and that's when we start getting into that. They've suggested somewhat of a schedule. You sell this many, charge this, sell this many, charge even less, but all the way down the line there. And my thinking was we're already selling at 92% discount. So it's kind of my concern was, I'm not really sure I got the answer from it. If you sell them a bulk lot,
Just did the truck.
oh, okay. If you sell them a group of lots in bulk, a lot of these lots are not desirable lots. They're just out there somewhere. And then there's some of them in there that are really worth what we're trying to sell them for. And I felt like, well, we sell a bunch of those to them at this cheap price, and we miss out on all the money that we would get for the ones that are nice. And then, we really wouldn't be making any money off of that. And they said that's the only way they can make money. And I said, well, how do I make money as an SID? I mean, I'm trying to get the SID to make some money so that we can help repair some of our amenities and things like that. So that was kind of a toss around a little bit too. I know in the past, these bulk lots went out, went to an internet company, got sold at a price. Some of them got sold, they didn't get sold, they came right back to us. So we gave no assessments from it. So I don't know if that's the case in this, what they're trying to do or not. But so I just had some questions on that and how that would work. The other thing I saw was one lady made a suggestion that we go to property owners and see any property that we own that's beside them or next to them, adjacent to them, if they have an opportunity to buy those properties at the price that we're scheduling right now, that we have put out there. And that way she said, you start there, you might get rid of some of those properties, some of the people that they're looking for to get that property next door, make it time to get hold of those. So we could suggest trying to get with these people and saying, hey, we got this property for sale, it's next to yours. maybe hammer out some of these ideas, and if anybody else has, any other commissioners have some ideas or information, we can add that. So that's what I have. Dave?
Well, sitting through this with the realtors and everything, I came up with what we're selling our lots for on the bulk lot sales. I don't know how we're going to break it down. 10 lots, 25 lots, 50 lots, 100. But what we're selling them for is it's not feasible for the realtors, basically, is what they told us. So, on that, I don't know, like Tony said, we're probably going to sit down with a working session here and figure out if we're going to raise our prices. So it makes it affordable for the realtors to get in on this or keep them to ourselves. And I put down a note for us, we probably need to get a real estate lawyer involved in some of this stuff too. There's a lot of things we don't know. We're all new to this. And one realtor asked about purchasing a subdivision over in Fulton County. And that's where we have another problem, is Fulton County, because their website and their antiquated computers do not keep up to date like Sharp probably does on the lots that are available. So we also have to work on that. So, and like Tony said, we came up with the idea of like a 90-day fire sale for people that has a vacant lot next to the property they own. So that way they can purchase a property next to them if they'd like to. And our other thing is to get our inventory up to date, so that way the realtors do know what we have. Betsy's been working on that, I know, new software. Basically, that's what it comes out to. We are going to have a working session to figure out what we're going to do in the future with the realtors and everything. Like they told us, what we're selling them for, it's not feasible for them, basically. That's it.
Thank you, guys. Any?
Can I speak?
Go ahead, yeah, that's it.
So I agree with both assessments of what we talked about. We heard a lot of things from the realtors. And the one thing that I heard the loudest was that they have a minimum commission with most of their real estate offices that they want to make, which was $1,000. So if we're selling the majority of our lots are under $2,500 for $200, then there was no room for commission. They talked about wanting us to grade the lots, like, A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3. What was sellable, what wasn't sellable, what had potential. And, what I think we all agreed, Tony and David and I, was, that's kind of the work that the realtor needs to do. If you're going to sell the lots, then you've got to go and look at those locations. You've got to see what's buildable. You've got to know what your person that your client you're representing is looking for, and not come to us to expect that. So I feel like that they told us what they needed to have for us to be able to get them involved to sell them, which was to try to sell them at the full appraised value in most cases, which is $2,500. Today, last week, you can go to the Commissioner of State Lands, and for less than $300, you can buy a lot. Now that the law has changed that a previous owner can't redeem it within the 10 days, then they can't redeem it any longer. They're new owner record. They don't have to come to us. So us having this schedule of selling lots at $200 and adding back an amount we determined previously was for delinquent assessments and the back taxes is running lots about $750 after we add those three figures together. They're not going to come to us. They're going to go directly to the Commissioner of State Lands. They're going to purchase those lots for a couple of $100s, and then they're going to get on the books, and they're going to start paying us the assessments next year. The same exact process we would do if we sold lots at bulk, except 1,000 lots or 500 lots or 200 lots or 30 lots would be on the books at one time. So I believe that what we have set up in the past as our fees of what we're charging to sell lots needs to be reviewed, because that $306 we're charging for an average of 2 years of delinquent assessments doesn't need to be charged if they can go to the state and purchase the lot and not have to pay that. You know, I also know that we've had a pending offer for months that keeps coming back up. And if we're serious about putting $90,000 back into commission on our books next year, we can't keep pushing it. We need to make a decision. And I think everyone was clear, $25 doesn't get it. And I think the other side says $200 is too much. So is it 175? Is it 150? I mean, I think we have to start somewhere and quit shoving it down the road, shoving it down the road. We're going to shove it down the road, and then there's not going to be anybody that wants to buy 1,000 lots anymore. And it's going to take a whole lot longer for people to buy one at a time to get to that same number. So I just want that to be something that we consider and think about. It's not 25, and it's not 200. What is it?
Thank you, team. I think that really does.
Well, one more thing, Ron, that Tony had mentioned, this list of lots. We are in the process of implementing our software program. And by doing that, we have purchased a list from Apprentice, which is a company that gets their data and information, they gather it from the county. And as of August 1st, we had a really good, accurate list of all of our property owners, their addresses. That's all the information we have to load into the new software system. But in the last 17 days, properties have sold. We have an auction coming up on the 31st. Properties are going to be foreclosed. If y'all think that our office is going to be able to maintain an ongoing list all the time of what properties we have, it's not going to happen. The only way that happened before is we had a contract with a real estate company for 30 years who tracked that information, and all the sales went through them. The sales don't go through them anymore. They go through anybody and everybody. So until I get something from the county weeks later that says here's a deed to report, I have no way of tracking who is buying, selling, and losing their lots. That's just an unrealistic expectation.
How do we sell the property if we don't know what we have?
We're not a real estate
we don't
company.
sell
I know, that's what I'm saying. Then how are we, so if we don't have an updated list, or if we can't keep a list of updated what we own, how are we supposed to sell it?
The people bring us the offer for
Right.
the property that they want to purchase. We're not selling them property. People are
Right.
calling us and saying,
So why not the real estate board who wanted us, they wanted that list, they said they'd like to have that list so they can tell, why don't they give us the list? Maybe they can do the legwork to say, hey.
But
why don't they what? Give
do the
us,
legwork and give us the list of properties they'd
but
like to sell.
that'll change, that list is going to change tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. So who's going to be the master that all that information comes into? It goes through the county.
Right.
And then it trickles down to us, but it's not a daily. It's a monthly, and it may be a few months behind. It's just not accurate information. Now, there's a website called AR County Data. We pay for a subscription to them, and that's where we go and get all of our information. And a number of the realtors have that same access. So,
But that's a
We
list.
have properties.
But all of these
Don't
lists,
Don't we know what properties we own? I mean, we're not trying to update that unless.
we don't own anything other than our exempt and reserved properties that we continue to pay taxes on. The previous board decided after the lawsuit not to go in and pay delinquent taxes. So those properties are certified
So what are we selling?
at the state.
So
We are going in and redeeming properties that were in our name, that were certified at the state. I can redeem those properties and then I can sell it,
How much does it cost for us to redeem?
whatever the back taxes are. So the person that's purchasing the property pays the back taxes that we pay to COSL.org plus $200 sale price, and we charged them $306 for an average of 2 years of back assessments at $153. That was a previous commissioner vote how to sell those lots, and that's how we came up with that little breakdown that's posted on our website. What I'm saying now is that the $306 doesn't apply because those properties have been foreclosed on. The attorney's already told us if the property is foreclosed, then we take the property back. That wipes away that assessment. The new person that purchases it is not responsible for the previous owner's past due assessments. The new owner starts new paying the assessment for the lawsuit.
Right.
So the $306 we shouldn't even be charging anymore. And we're charging $200 plus what COSL.org has listed as the delinquent taxes. So that's the two fees that we are selling lots for. Now, they can go and buy those lots themselves through COSL.org. They don't have to pay us a dime.
But if we can redeem,
No, we cannot. The law now says we don't have 10 days to redeem anymore. So they buy them, they're theirs. We lose out on the $200.
Thank you. This is very confusing for the majority of the people who are thinking about buying lots. However, in Sharp County, at the courthouse on the 30th of this month, the Commissioner of State Lands will have an auction for Sharp County. For Fulton County, it's at Melbourne at the college, and it's on the 31st. Starts at 10 o'clock. It's an interesting activity. I've been to it. It's very confusing unless you go to the COSL, Commissioner of State Lands website, and read about 6 or 7 really detailed pages of how to register and how to take care of that. And I don't want to confuse anybody here, but it is fun to watch people who are buying some properties at that auction. At least that's what I thought. I would hold your comment, sir. Is there any additional comments or discussion?
I would like for us to discuss, or at least throw out on the table, possible price on this current offer that we have for 1,000 lots. And I think they offered $25, if I remember, per lot. We're selling out of our office at $200. So let's discuss that particular situation, what price we feel comfortable with, and are they responsible, Betsy, for the back taxes on all of those 1,000 lots?
Yes. Yes, so whatever the amount we come up with, plus whatever it takes to redeem it from the state.
Okay. Okay. I personally think that we need a working session as commissioners on this. Because otherwise we're going to be here all night talking about this. That's my recommendation. Well, I mean, we've kicked it around for how many months now? I mean,
it seems like I'm getting more information from one. These 1,000 lots, we don't own. These are lots that we can redeem. Correct.
Are these lots that the land commissioner owns?
Listen, don't hold me to the 1,000 lot offer, exactly every one of them that came in 4 months ago. There may have been some that changed. There may have been some that were redeemed through the state. There's a lot that's happened since we got that initial.
Let's just say that a bunch of them, a whole bunch of them are ones that we have to go out and redeem, pay the back taxes. They buy them for us at $25.
Yeah, we
And
said
pay,
that.
well, let's say they buy them for $50, whatever the discount price we get. Plus they pay the back taxes that we pay, right? So they're getting them cheaper through us than they would if they just went to the state and got them for $160 a piece.
We're not selling them. I mean,
Wait a minute, no, I think that they can go and redeem those lots now through
So why give
COSL.
us all? Because they want it cheaper.
I can speak to this if you want. I mean, I can speak to.
Why should he? Not right now, they don't.
Hold it. Normally, we do not have people speak from the audience when we're in discussion. At this point, Mr. Rhodes is a pro in this environment. Would you please come address the commissioners? Jason, this is not normal for what we would like to do.
All you should have to do is have somebody make a motion to let him talk.
That's
Peter, thank you, that's enough.
That's how you do. Make a motion that Jonathan talk.
All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
I'm Jonathan. Can you hear me on this? Can you hear me now?
It's on.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
There.
There.
It's better.
I'm Jonathan Rhodes. I'm taking the personalities out of this, which I'm able to do. The answer to your question, Mr. Stallsmith, is that the offer that American Land Company made on 1,000 lots, SID owns those lots. Those have been through SID foreclosure. So you own those lots. Almost, and I can say with almost 100% certainty, every Cherokee Village lot that is sitting in the Commissioner of State Lands that people are auctioning on and buying out are SID-owned lots. You're just letting them go at auction. And the reason that we would not go do that is that when you purchase a lot from, or any property from the Commissioner of State Land, any property, you do not get clear title. The Commissioner is very clear about that. They disclose it many times on their website and through their documentation. So someone that goes and buys a lot at auction today that's owned by SID that's sitting in Commissioner of State Lands gets what's called a limited warranty deed. It's not a full warranty deed. It's not clear title. Because SID has interest. And so technically, if I bought a lot from the Commissioner of State Lands that was owned by SID, even if you don't redeem it, I don't technically have clear title to that because SID has an interest in that. So in order for me to get clear title through a title company, I'd have to go and get your interest. You'd have to quit claim that interest to me or do a quiet title suit. Now, many people who buy lots from the Commissioner of State Lands, they don't either understand that or they don't care. We don't buy lots from the Commissioner of State Lands because we don't want lots that have not clear title because we're not going to sell those to other people. So the 1,000 lots that back in February that we offered to purchase are lots that you own in your inventory that have been through an SID foreclosure. There are no SIDs owed on those lots. I would just ask that the commission consider creating a bulk price policy today, even if you change it down the road. It's been since February, not that you don't need another working meeting, but this issue's been before you, and I would, even if you don't sell it to American Land Company, if Robert or anybody in this audience wants to buy a bulk deal, SID should be selling those in bulk because that's the only way you're going to move the inventory that you've got and recoup some of the money. Because there's no way to do it lot next door, one at a time, with 6,000, 7,000 lots. And the 6,000, 7,000 lots that you have in your inventory will be replenished year after year after year because they will continue to go delinquent. So I would just encourage the commission to take action and create a bulk policy, make it very simple, so that you're able to make decisions. And you're able to, you don't have to, but at least you've got the policy in place so that you can do a bulk deal, 10 lots, 20 lots, 200 lots, to me or anybody else.
Can I ask if any of the 1,000 lots are delinquent and certified with the state, so your
Yes.
offer is in addition to those delinquent?
Yes, if
taxes?
we purchased any lots from you, we would pay the back taxes on them. That's without question.
Okay, now, she brought up this 10-day thing. Is that now, how does that affect that? Now, that's the new game.
Well, it doesn't matter in some ways. Is that you have some lots that are going through, there are different stages of the Commissioner of State Lands. Some lots have not gone to auction yet. Some will go to auction as one of the commissioners has mentioned, Ron has mentioned. Some lots have already been through auction and are sitting in the Commissioner of State Lands, and you can only buy them for what the taxes are owed on them. And then some lots that have been there longer go to an auction that the Commissioner has online, and that's when you're able to bid on them and potentially buy them for less than the taxes are owed. So the Commissioner of State Lands, there's really kind of 4 stages that these lots go through. And so when we talk about redemption, in the past, when American Land Company had its contract, we redeemed those lots to protect the inventory. And so, but now the SID is not redeeming your lots. They're being bought at the state. People are getting not clear title. They're going and reselling them. Maybe they get back on the books, maybe they don't. And so, at least if somebody approaches you with a bulk deal, the thousands of lots that you have the option to sell them, give clear title, get them back on the books.
Okay, I have another question. So with the 10-day thing, am I quoting that correctly, that in the past, we would have gotten a letter in our office that said someone would have redeemed one of our lots and it had a date that we had to go in and pay those back. And I heard a lot of people say they wouldn't buy lots in Cherokee Village because that's what happened. They'd go to the auction, they'd buy a lot, and then they would get redeemed, so they never really got to buy a lot. That doesn't happen anymore.
Well, as of July 1st, the law changed, and the Commissioner of State Lands now, and this is important for anybody who has delinquent property at the Commissioner of State Lands. The redemption is there to protect the property owner so that they can redeem, pay their back taxes, and protect the property. They have now issued a new, through the state legislature, that it used to be a longer period and it went down to 10 days, and now they've eliminated that 10 days. So when an auction is held, if the owner, and it could be any owner, not just SID, if you do not pay your back taxes before that auction happens, there is no 10-day grace period. So in the past, previous owner would have gotten a letter, you have 10 business day grace period to pay that, and that is no longer there. It just shortens the window and it just moves the property through faster. So as an owner, you're losing your inventory. I mean, unless you're keeping an eye on it and watching it and you have a plan to redeem it, and yes, every time an auction is held, that property goes out of your name into someone else's name that day that the auction happens.
And the bulk auction that's coming up at the end of the month, or the auction that's coming up at the end of the month, they will sell all those lots in bulk. They're not going to sit up there and do.
No, they sell them one by one.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, one by one.
So, but what they'll typically do when there's a huge inventory in any of these communities is they'll say parcel number X to parcel number Y. So a range. Does anybody want any of these lots? And someone will raise their hand. So they won't do it one by one, they'll do it in batches. But yes, every one of those could potentially be sold at auction.
Individually.
And that's not all of your, I mean, it's just a portion of what the SID owns.
Right.
That will be in that auction in Fulton and in Charlotte.
I've got a stack of certifieds for Commissioner St. Linda was talking that we received for the auction.
But as I said, taking the personalities out of it, there's no compelling reason not to have a policy on your books to be able to sell in bulk. Whether you do that to me or to anyone else, there's no good, reasonable reason not to have that policy. And I think you've established a price, so if you're establishing a bulk policy, you would go from that pricing down. And so, I think keep it as simple as possible. But I don't think delaying it, as it's been delayed since February, is a benefit to property owners or this commission. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you.
Still need to work this issue.
Well, I've been kind of looking over some figures here. If we sell bulk lots, say 100 lots at $100 a piece, that's a fair price. 200 lots at $75 a piece. 500 lots at $50 a piece. I think $50 is probably the cheapest you can go on multiple lots. It's a figure to start with.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing some figures out there.
I think that the majority that we see is going to be a number under 50 and then maybe a number over 100. But I think that 1,000 is the biggest we've ever seen or may ever see, but somewhere to start with.
Yeah.
So, David Neagle, say those numbers again,
Okay.
100 and 100, 200.
100 lots would be $100 a lot. 200 lots would be $75 a lot. 500 lots or more would be $50 a lot.
Okay. You don't have a
So-
$25,
Pardon?
500, I mean, $50 a lot is the least expensive?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
So
just,
1 to 10, 200, 11 to 50 would be what?
okay.
Maybe 125?
Yeah. We can do that.
And then you said 51 to 100 for 100?
Yes.
And then 101 to whatever?
To 200, 75,
Okay.
and then 500 and above is $50 a lot.
You're missing 205.
Whoops, I missed something in there.
So
Plus the whatever the delinquent fees are with the state.
Right.
Yep, can I ask a question?
Okay.
Are there any other real estate people here?
So 201 to 500 is 50.
75.
You said-
200,
I had
500
a question.
is
I
75.
had a question for you.
And 501 plus is 25.
50.
50.
I'll show you this.
Are there any other real estate people?
Well, I've done dozens of transactions. I'm not a licensed agent. But in real estate, it's percentage. It's not chunk off.
Right.
5%, 10%.
Stand up here, Scott, and
Here, just leave this up there.
I need to make a motion for him to talk.
Yeah.
I made a motion to have Scott talk.
First of all,
Somebody second?
Seconded, right quick. Tony, did you second?
I'll
it?
second it.
I can't.
Okay, Scott, go.
thank you. First of all, I agree with what Mr. Rose said. Obviously, he knows more as a licensed real estate agent in Arkansas. But I would just like to point out, having been involved in a lot of commercial and private real estate transactions, normally, in my experience, is you do percentages discounts, not straight dollar discounts on bulk sales or on large square footage or things of that nature. So, because that's how the commissions work, that's how tax assessments, that's all by percentages. So if you're giving 5% off on properties on a bulk sale, that's a good deal. 10% seems great. And you can consider the fact that the new property assessments gone up, 50+% for all of us. The value is in the return of the resale that the real estate agent, whoever they are, in bulk or private, they can set whatever price they want. So, I worry that when we go to big chunks per lot off, that for us as a community, that we're leaving a lot on the table versus doing a percentage. Whatever percentage, I'm not here to just offer any expertise on it, but just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
The rub would be the individual who wanted the lot next door, and they could buy it from SID unless it was controlled by someone who had purchased a bulk number of lots and controlled by that individual. And that's the issue that I've heard multiple times. And that's why we would have a working session to think through one lot, 2 or 3 lots for someone who wants them around the house versus someone who wants what we consider bulk lots.
Can I say that we need to keep into mind that when we offer someone to purchase the property next door to them, that could also be on the golf course, that could also be on the lake, that might not just be a little lot back in the top that's only worth $2,500 that they're selling for 2. It could be a $30,000 or $40,000 lot.
That's why I thought Mr. Nebel's idea that we needed a working session to think through the one person versus the multiple lot issue so that we're all in agreement rather than try to, and we've hashed this out a number of different ways. And I know that a single lot we have in policy, and that seems to have been working well, but it very well, as you said, needs to be re-evaluated
Yes.
and determined, which is, again, is a reason to have a working session with people who have expertise, just like you recommended, perhaps an individual who understands, an attorney who has foreclosure experience or more real estate exposure than we do. Did I say that right, guys?
We need to go soon, like I said.
Yep.
I don't want to see it put off anymore. I'd like to see something settled. So if we're going to do a work session, we need to do it rather quick. I mean, what did we were looking at this in our bylaws. We said how long we should do, how long our meeting, the work session should take place. Is that like the next week? Something like that?
Tony, in 9 days, you could go to a COSL auction and witness it, or 10 days, because I know you go over to Melbourne quite a bit. And I know you know a little bit about the university there. So there are opportunities to take a look at how that operates, as well as go to the COSL website and review that information. I'm not positive it's up to date. The document that I printed the other day did not show the delinquent be able to have an individual pay their delinquent taxes if it had gone to auction.
So you're suggesting a longer period?
Pardon?
You're suggesting a longer period?
Well, we could do it earlier, but there's a lot of information that we really need to capture.
Okay. Here's my suggestion on the bulk lot sales. I'm going to throw some prices out there again. So we get this on old business. Because we need to get the price. 10 to 200 lots. You ready, Susan?
Okay, wait a minute.
10 to 100 lots, excuse me.
Okay,
$150 a lot. 100 to 200 lots, $100 a lot. What? 101. 950. Okay, 101 then. The numbers.
yep,
The 200 would be 100. 201 to 500 would be $75, and anything over 500 lots would be $50.
plus whatever the delinquent.
Yeah, their taxes, right.
Okay,
Said assessment.
Now, explain when you say taxes, those are back taxes.
Assessments.
And then we also have 2 years of back assessments, but I'm not sure that we can do that legally.
correct, because
Right.
those are foreclosed, we foreclosed that property back, so the attorney says that 306 we do not have to collect. And that would make us more competitive to be able to sell these things and get them back on the books with the new owner. We're trying to hold a previous owner's delinquent taxes to a property that a new owner should not have to be responsible for. That doesn't make any sense.
So no penalty to the new owner unless the old owner had paid.
Now, if a person redeems their property and they're delinquent, I had one today, he's been delinquent since 2018. We paid us $783 on one and $500 and something on the other to get current. He redeemed his lot with the county and then he came current with us. But that's different than selling a lot.
Right. That's the confusion that we've probably entered into this discussion several
We're making
times.
it hard.
Yeah.
When
We're making it harder than it needs.
So Mr. Kaiser recommended that we come up with something today because of the delinquent amount of time that we've spent bantering back and forth. David Nebel has proposed a motion associated with numbers of lots and prices. Is that a motion, David, that you're making? Okay. Do we have a second for Mr. Nebel's motion?
Let's go back over it one more time on the figures, because I've got a lot of chicken scratching.
I can do that, David, if you want. From 10 to 100 lots, it's $150 per lot. From 101 to 200, it's $100 per lot. 201 to 500, $75 per lot. 501 and up, it's $50 per lot, plus the back taxes.
Still kind of like the percentage of
That was the motion.
Kind of like what?
He came up with the flat rate.
Yeah.
Susan, did you?
No, I'm
We're
trying to
waiting for a
figure out
second.
what Tony said.
Wait on a second.
And Tony said something.
I said,
He likes to say.
I like percentage.
I second that motion by Dave Nebel because I feel like we're getting too complicated, and I don't think any of us are real estate minded enough to come up with percentages based on repoed lots and taxes and what it's worth. I say we sell them and let them pay the back taxes on them and get them back on the books.
We had a motion by Mr. Nebel, and I can restate that if you want. A second by Mr. Kaiser. Is there additional discussion? Susan?
No, sir.
Joe?
No, sir.
David? Tony, you said you like,
To me, I think it's a little bit low for selling person. I think we should go about percentage, but that is,
See any batteries too?
Someone's got it on mute.
He can amend the motion to whatever he likes.
Tony,
my personal preference, there it goes. Technology. Would be percentages. So I'll.
Percentages of what?
Well, 10, 15, 25%.
Do you have?
I mean,
Okay.
that would be my personal preference.
Of what?
That's gonna
Oh,
take
I'm
us.
sorry, I understand, I know, but I'm just saying that's my personal preference. I'm probably gonna be out of
But percentages of what, Tony?
Up to $200, we're starting at $200, right?
So you would say that the 101 to 200 for $100 is a 50% discount. I mean, I think we could figure out the percentages if
Yeah.
you just want to say a percentage. But I hear you say a percentage off the appraised land value. Is that what you were
No.
saying?
No.
I don't think it's, you can tell off the land value.
I mean, we grouped it together, $1 to $2,500 was $200.
We're talking apples and oranges.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse it more. I was suggesting percentages because you'd only be doing 5 to 10% off of 200. You already got the lots really, really low price. And the responsibility of profit is in the real estate hands, not in your hands or the recovery. So, not 50%, I didn't want to have that road telling you how to do it.
But you're talking, you were talking about off of $200.
Whatever you choose, whatever suits you.
Okay.
Working section.
plus the taxes, which means that if you had a percentage and you used 200 as the baseline and you got 10%, then it would be $180 for a lot plus the taxes, the way you've described it. Simple English, poor math. That was, anything additional, Mr. Saltzman? He's Sorry for that. Okay, we have a motion on the floor based on what Mr. Nebel recommended and seconded by Mr. Kaiser. The motion says 10 to 100 lots, $150 per lot, 10 plus taxes. 101 to 200 would be $100 per lot plus taxes. 201 to 500 would be $75 per lot plus taxes. 501 and up would be $50 plus taxes, which means that SID would be able to then allow an individual to market these lots for the first time in a while to people other than one at a time, which is what we've been basically trying to do. I don't know if that's a workable thing, but that's the motion on the floor. Anyone in favor of this, please say aye.
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 Susan?
I said aye.
We have 3 ayes. Are there any nays?
He's abstaining.
Abstaining? Okay.
Yes.
But an abstinence goes to the...
Since there's no tie, I don't get to vote as the chairman. So the motion passes, so we have a policy for bulk lot sales at this point. And we can move forward. That doesn't mean it won't change next month after we've had some kind of discussion with probably our attorneys. Yeah, we voted on it.
Then you're gonna talk.
Well, we've already spent thousands of dollars. I personally have spent over $2,000 talking to foreclosure attorneys out of my account. So I know a little bit more about how the foreclosure piece works, and I know a lot more about how COSL works, except for the thing that passed July the 1st, because I didn't get a printout of that, or I would read that to you. Let's talk about item B, golf update rules and regulations. Mr. Nebel. That's B, number B. I skip stuff all the time.
Okay, this is the last reading of the rules and regulations for Cherokee Village golf courses. 1, all golfers must register the Cherokee Village Urban Improvement District Golf Shop prior or before commencing play and must present their property owner card upon request. 2, daily cart path rules will be posted in the golf shop and at the number 1 hole and number 10 tee boxes. Players must begin play on hole number 1. Players wishing to begin play on any other hole must request approval from the golf shop. 4, carts should always remain 50 foot from the green. Signage should direct players where to return to the cart path. Handicap players with appropriate signage on their golf court or otherwise conspicuously shown may maintain a distance of 15 foot from the green. 5, players and foursomes have precedence over singles and twosomes. Players are encouraged to allow faster players the opportunity to play through the course. The golf shop reserves the right to pair players or groups to form a threesome or foursome to increase the efficiency of gameplay. 6, golfers must wear appropriate attire on the golf course and driving range. T-shirts, tank tops, sport bras, gym shorts are not acceptable attire. All golfers must wear proper length shorts. If you are unsure of appropriate attire, please check with the golf shop. 7, fives may be allowed on the course as long as they maintain the proper pace of play with other groups. Let's see that. 8, each player must have their own set of clubs. 9, no more than 2 players are permitted on a SID rental cart. Rental cart operators must be at least 18 years of age and possess a valid driver's license. 10, golfers should not use greens, bunker fairways, or tee boxes for practice purposes. 11, carts paths are reserved exclusively for registered golfers during business hours. Property owners are not permitted to walk along the golf cart paths at any time, including during the hours before and after the golf courses are open for business. 12. Golf carts, SID designated equipment, and emergency vehicles are the only vehicles permitted to operate on the golf courses. Unauthorized vehicles or operators and all occupants should be classified as trespassers and subject to prosecution. Individuals in violation of course rules and regulations will be notified of their infraction and requested to comply. Failure to comply will result in penalties being assessed as follows. First offense, verbal warning. Second offense, warning letter. Third offense, suspension of golfing privileges for 3 days. A suspension may be appealed to the Board of Commissioners. The General Manager will establish a time and date for the appeal hearing. The imposition of the penalty will be postponed pending the outcome of the appeal hearing. The Board of Commissioners reserves the right to impose additional penalties as related to the degree of violation. Ta-da.
Now, we've had a number of people who are walking early in the morning, and I'm going to tell you, my new nickname is Marshall Billy. Y'all know a little bit about Gunsmoke. I've been on the north and the south, observing, watching, talking to people, because we've had dogs that have left excrement on the course. We have people who are not controlling their dogs. We have people who have violated the golfers' privileges to play golf. They just ran right in front of them. So therefore, these are very stringent rules that we've had time to look at, been through our attorneys to make sure that we have the right wording on all of these, and we're going to attempt at this point to ask all the property owners to follow these rules on our golf courses. Can I say that just like you needed it, Mr. Legal, because you and I both been out there watching. I can give you some stories, but I won't waste your time on that. We've been doing all kinds of stuff. If you want to, you can see me later or call me, and I'll tell you some of the things I found. I don't think we need to vote on this, but I will go ahead and open it up to any further discussion. Susan?
You need to sign it.
I
We
don't,
have the original. There should be a second page to that, it's just blank for signatures.
I don't have it, so.
It's in there, I saw it, I laid it on the table.
Here, mine doesn't have any writing in it.
Oh, here, take her page.
Here, give this to Ron. Give this to
Well,
Ron.
mine didn't have it, so.
There you got it.
Okay, let's,
Give that, there you go.
Tony, are you for these golf rules?
Well, you looking at something?
No.
Oh. Number 11 again. I know what we're trying to do here. But again, it just says cart paths. It just talks about walking on the thing. And I'm looking at other different public courses.
Yours is flashing red, grab David's.
Just put batteries in.
I don't know, I can see it flashing red.
Hello? There it is. And like the one instance that says, jogging, bicycling, fishing, recreational walking is not permitted on the golf course. That's a simple one. And also has a section about pets also not being allowed unless they're service dogs.
Where are they in here?
He's reading it off.
I'm just reading this off. I see it in another.
You're reading from where?
From Valley Tree Golf Courses, public golf course.
Battle Tree?
Valley Tree.
I can tell you that this is the exact
That's what it's doing.
return from our attorney.
Okay.
They went in, once we asked them to look at 11, they went through and rewrote anything that they felt like the wording needed to be corrected. This is the exact thing they said back.
That still basically covers us the no non-golfers on the course.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's clear.
So, what's your vote, Tony?
Are we voting?
Yes or no? Yes, please.
Yes.
Vote. David?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Susan? Vote. There are no negatives. Let's go ahead and approve that. That is now law. Let's go to item C, eclipse information. We, once again, have a person who we've been working very carefully with to really make this eclipse event quite enjoyable. And we expect to have some really fun activities before the event, which will be April the 8th of 2024. We have a focus on the city area where we have City Hall as our primary location. However, SID has some wonderful places to park vehicles and view. We're going to really ask people to let us know if they're coming in and just enjoy this activity. I don't want to give away some of those activities, but I know there's a golf tournament scheduled, not during the eclipse because you wouldn't be able to see the ball unless you have one of those balls that flash. And we have some other activities that I will be more than willing to share with you at a later time. Betsy, you and I have been going to all these meetings. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I feel like we're making some headway and
That's
there's
it,
going to
yeah.
be lots of things
That's
to do.
That's
Maybe by the next meeting, we'll be able to say more of what SID is going to, what events that we'll put on. We just don't want to do anything that's going to interfere with the things that the city are doing at the same time. We don't want to compete against each other. We want to complement each other. So we should have dates coming in the future when we'll do some events for us.
Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to add anything from the commissioner's perspective? Okay. Let's go on to D. New bylaw, oh gosh. The new bylaws that we are attempting to implement. Not quite sure how we want to go through this because it's quite lengthy. We may defer, I'm going to ask, maybe we defer this to the very end. I'd hate to, pardon?
I don't think we need to read them out loud, because this is the second reading, the second review of these.
Well, for
I
us,
read through them and I found all my corrections.
And she's made the correction, so
I made Davis corrections and then Susan gave me some, in fact, the last one you got is after Susan's corrections.
well, we do have in the documentation, did you take out the water and sewer issue?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, because that one kind of was one I highlighted, and we have some points there where it says district manager versus general manager, which is a wee bit
it's
confusing.
incorrect.
Okay, and then we had a 35K threshold, which is common in several of our SIDs, and a 5K threshold on activities that the general manager can really move forward with, which made a lot of sense to me, because we can't tie our general manager's hands. On the same token, if it's above $35,000, it does need to come to the commission. So we're in pretty good shape from that perspective on all of these rules. We do have all the rules I'm breaking right now, Robert's Rules of Orders, some of the things from that we have in here, and people, I don't know that we've published those on our website yet. I know that was one of the plans after today. Is that the plan that you also had, Betsy, to
To
publish
start
them?
publishing some of our bylaws? Yes, if we get these signed, we'll have about 5 sections we've completed now, and we'll be able to start putting that together and posting that by each section.
And that way, all the property owners and potential property owners would have the opportunity to review them and just get you a big cup of coffee.
It's a lot of it.
Because there's an awful lot of information which is pertinent to your property. With that, David, you made a recommendation that we go ahead and move forward and approve these rules and guidelines that, the bylaws that have been available to us now for, 6 weeks? And I've been through them a number of times, and I wanted to see what the other folks had to say before I opened my mouth. At this point, any additional discussion? Susan, I know you've been through it. Joe, you've been through them. I've been through them. David, I know you and I've talked.
I'm good.
Tony, are you okay with these? Okay, so I would ask for a motion to approve these new bylaws from an individual on the commission.
I make a motion to approve the new amended bylaws.
We have a motion by Mr. Nebel to approve the new amended bylaws that run from 232 to 225. They're updated. We have a second from Mr. Stallsmith. Any additional discussion? I'm asking for a vote now. Individual roll call vote. I'm going to ask Tony.
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Motion passes, motion carries. Let's go to E, guest pass proposal by Mr. Tony Saltsmith, one of our newest commissioners.
I brought this on, like I said before, because I haven't come up for 14 days to get guest passes, especially I've got a lot of personally, I have a lot of people coming up. Before, we used to have seasonal passes, and we had to have my passes for everybody that came up throughout the summer. They come up all, starting in March, probably, all the way through the summer. So I made this proposal, with this in mind, also with, I've been approached by others, personal people who wanted personal guest passes, and also from those in the Airbnb business, as well as the A&B Commission, who is looking for something more simple so that they don't have to make it more clean for them to have guest passes as well for their people. And so this is what my proposal was, as you all read already. 8 seasonal guest passes obtained for each property. Consists of having the property name and the address on the property. I want to skip down to number 3. Those property owners will also be responsible for their guests. So if you're at Airbnb or it's your personal guest, you are responsible for that guest. If more guest passes are needed, the property owners can request a 10-day pass with additional guests. Any violation, any guest in violation of city rules must forfeit said guest pass. Forfeit guest passes may be picked up by the property owner on the 3rd business day for the infraction. The second one will result in revocation of guest pass for the season. Any appeals can be heard by the city commission at the next city meeting. I also wanted to add in about renters. If you're a renter, your landlord would be responsible for getting the guest passes for that property and to hand them out to the rental people who are renting. So we will not be responsible, they will not be responsible for any. So that's my point. Trying to keep it simple, trying to keep it short.
Who's going to determine if there's a violation? Who's going to take that guest pass?
Well, if it's at the pool, probably who's ever at the pool, here at the golf course, pro shop.
My employees.
Your employees.
Yeah. I don't think my employees should have to approach somebody on the golf course and take their card.
Does that not happen now?
No.
No.
They get passed and nothing happens to people when they violate any of our rules.
really have the city police watching people to follow the rules. Now, if you're at the swimming pool and you're breaking an obvious rule, or someone comes up and says, hey, we've got a problem, we address it. But I have teenagers that work at the pool, and you think they're gonna approach an adult and say, I need to collect your guest pass? No. Same thing on the golf course. We're not gonna approach people playing golf and ask to take their guest pass, but they don't need a guest pass for the golf course. So that really wouldn't be an issue. The real issue with the guest passes is the lake, for people that want to get a boat sticker, and at the pool or the beach. Otherwise, there's not a big use for the guest stickers. Airbnb.
What about using Omaha Fitness?
They don't have to have a guest
They
pass.
don't need a guest pass?
If they're not a member, then they pay $3. They don't have to, it's an honor system.
No, somebody, anybody can come and use Omaha or big play football without a guest pass.
There's nobody out there in the hallway checking passes, Tony.
It's an honor.
It's not all the time.
They just sign in.
Right. That's what I'm saying, but that's not required.
No, sir. $3 guest. That's it.
And that's
They can't
on
have a
honor
membership if they're not a property owner. Is that what?
That's on the honor system then.
The $3? Yeah, if they're walking in and before the attendant is there, it is an honor system. It always has been. So that would be my question on here. I would love.
So you're more worried about the violation part.
Yeah, nobody's going to be enforcing any violations. I think that's not unrealistic. We don't have anybody enforcing any violations. I'm not against doing some different season passes, but as a property owner, I think I showed earlier, here's a request that I received this week for 65 guest cards from a guest of a property owner. The very first sentence says, here's the passes I need for Saturday. So-and-so will be calling to confirm this email. I did not give this person
Well, that's what I'm saying.
65 guest passes.
That's what, okay, let's say.
But it's abused, it's being abused.
Besides that, how about this? If the property owner has their 8 guest passes, that's their 8 guest passes. And they keep, if it's you and me, we have our 8 guest passes to use for the season as we want. If it's an Airbnb person, they have their name and address on there, so they're responsible. They have a guest pass. But they can leave them there after Airbnb, and only those people who are there can use the guest passes, and that's it.
So the Airbnbs are picking up from us because normally those Airbnbs are not having contact with their renters. It's done online, and then whoever's managing those Airbnbs sends us an email and gives us a list of who's going to be staying and what the owner is. And we print those up, stick them in envelope.
We're doing that every time we get new people, right?
Every time we get a
That's
list.
why I'm proposing this, that's just do one time every year.
Yeah, I'm just saying the Airbnb is not making contact with Joe the renter. The person who owns that Airbnb may be in Jonesboro, they're making a reservation online, they send us an email, there's never any contact. So that's why we're
Who's
getting
picking up the guest pass?
the person who's renting the
If
place.
they come in late on Friday night, who gets the guest pass?
They can either go to the lobby on Saturday from 8 to 1, or sometimes they request to pick them up at the Thunderbird Center, which is open all weekend long. We try to make it as easy as possible.
Well, this is easy. If they leave them if they leave them on site at their Airbnb, then they're responsible for those guest passes. If they lose them, then they don't have guest passes for them.
So who's going to make the guest passes? We don't know the guest's
You
name.
don't need to know.
He's saying just to put the owner's name on it.
Owner's name and their address, wherever they're from.
So the owner can only get 8 passes.
For that property.
So if Airbnb is rented every weekend,
If the guest passes stay there, we don't keep.
It becomes part of the
We
package.
don't keep reissuing new guest passes for that Airbnb.
how do we keep track of the guest passes when they're
We
Airbnb?
don't, we have no way to keep track
That's what I'm
of it.
You
asking.
don't need to keep that.
So that Airbnb leaves, they take the 8 passes with
If
them.
they take their passes with them, then that.
They come back and use them as many
that
times as
person
they
who's on
want.
Airbnb is now 8 passes. That's
But
all-
the-
that's
but-
all, it becomes his responsibility to make sure.
But we don't have any way to police that.
But people won't have guest passes. That's not.
That's just the problem I see, is the
Yeah.
Airbnb.
I understand that.
I'm not against what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
but that's not realistically gonna work with the Airbnbs. There's no person that's standing there saying, give me your passes when you leave, and here you are to the
They need to, they
meeting.
leave them there at the Airbnb, that's on the Airbnb person. That's on them, not on us.
But, okay.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, you're not hearing what we're
I
saying.
understand what you're saying.
That when that person checks in, and the owner of that Airbnb, who is a property owner, and the previous people took the card, they're gonna want new cards, and they're not
They
gonna
don't
care.
want cards. They go to those.
Well, I'll tell them to
people.
call you, Tony.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. The individual who rented a hotel room, who all of a sudden went to Indianapolis, had a wonderful time, they got back to Nashville, and they said, oh my God, I forgot to give them my card. How do I get into the room? And that's the situation that I've listened to Betsy, I've listened to the folks who create those guest passes. That is huge. I've seen, 100 guest passes where people didn't even bother to pick them up.
We've done upwards of 800 in a week on a holiday. It is a very lengthy process, and finding a better way to do it is a great idea, but you're missing it with the Airbnbs, Tony. That's all we're saying.
Now, there was an opportunity that this was described by an Airbnb to me, that they could leave some of those guest passes in the Rhodes office, and they could sign them out, and that would allow them to utilize our facilities. But I don't know, I haven't talked to you about that. I don't know what that means to the folks who work for us.
I know in the past there were blank guest cards that were left at King Roads, and they were able to fill those out. And when the lawsuit came around and all the things were made about who's paying for assessments and people using the facilities that don't, we took those guest cards back and said they have to request them the same as every other real estate company does. And that's what happens.
That's what I was understanding from both sides. So it would be nice for both of us, all of us, to leave them there. And it would be nice for the people coming in late Friday night who
But
want to
they're
do
not our
something
only
early.
renters, Lon.
Pardon?
They're not our only renters. That's just
Oh, no,
one
I
real estate
understand, yeah.
company. What we do for them, we do for everybody.
Yeah. Not just say Airbnb, person.
Well, we
Southern
probably,
Pines, we have individual owners that have rental properties. I mean,
I still feel like it should be the Airbnb, whoever owns the Airbnb, their responsibility. And if they lose a guest pass because somebody took it, they can charge them extra, say, hey, you can take these, you take my guest pass, I'm gonna charge you extra.
Well, or the Airbnb calls Sid, gets the passes, the guest comes and gets them, uses them, throw them in the trash when you're done. Next weekend, the Airbnb contacts.
Keep reissuing.
Well, Tony, but the abuse for leaving around guest passes,
is real.
it's, I
It is
mean,
real.
What's the abuse?
Of people who live in Highland, Ashland, and Hardy, who are not property owners that have the same, use our facilities without having to pay assessments. If we have a maximum capacity in the pool, is it fair to have 40 guests and only 10 property owners and turn property owners away because we have people at the pool that are not property owners? I mean, you have to have the property owner has to have some value as to what they're paying for the amenity. If we open it back up to everybody in our 3 surrounding counties, then what does the property owner pay for? All the other people to come visit it? That's not right. I wouldn't want to spend my money to maintain the chemicals on the pool so everybody in Hardy can see. Let Hardy get a pool.
I think what Tony's trying to do is cut down on the number of cards that were issued.
I agree.
And it's a good start. Let's try it and see what happens. I mean,
but I know personally, people who have stayed in rent houses, who take their cards because they're good for a certain amount of days.
right.
And they come back after that event is over, after that event is gone. They come back every day to the swimming pool with their guest pass.
Somebody needs to look at it.
So the Airbnb, one that owns the Airbnb, could they not say, hey, where's my card?
How are they gonna do it?
Let me ask you this. You own that Airbnb. I check out today,
Okay.
and somebody new checks in tomorrow.
Well,
And your doesn't get any amenities because the last person checked out and took the car. That's on the property owner, you're saying. It's the property owner's responsibility. Now we're gonna say that the property owner doesn't get any more cards because the person they rented to took them. You are asking my office to be in a firing range.
Yep.
Because they're not gonna call you, they're gonna call us and say, I'm a property owner and I have the right to give my people a guest pass.
There'd be a new people I talk to would like to see something like this, so it sounds like they're willing to take that risk. So I don't know, I mean, I'll talk to some more. We don't have to finish this today, because we're talking next
Well,
year.
we can-
know we're not doing this.
Right.
So I'll talk to some more Airbnb people and see what they say about that, but I'm saying from a personal standpoint, I don't like having to keep coming back and getting more and more guest passes every time I got family coming into town, because it's,
You don't need them if you go with them.
if I go with them, they don't always go. I got adult children that come,
Okay.
and then they take my grandkids to the swimming pool. I don't go with them.
Okay, I made a motion to table this for old business for next month.
Motion's been made to table this issue about guest passes and the approach to support our property owners with guest passes by Mr. Nebel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Kaiser. Is there any additional discussion?
Are you saying that the current guest pass thing doesn't support property owners? Is that why you worded it like that?
No.
We have a motion.
We have a motion.
We have a motion.
Just
Okay.
table it. We're not making a decision. now.
Well, but it was
We're
tabled.
talking about
Okay.
next year.
Okay, all right, we're good.
Anything coming to effect, we can't change the
I can't hear what you're saying
But
anyway.
it's a motion, and I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor of tabling this, please say.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion's tabled for further discussion next time. The fun part comes now, new business. And at this point, our general manager has been working very, very diligently to try to find a way to get that kiddie pool up and running at Omaha. And it's not there yet. We did blow it up 2 or 3 times, and you can see the result if you go over there. But Betsy, would you please talk about the benefit that you are the pools and the potential?
Today I was able to provide you with 2 proposals for completely removing the existing pools that are at the Omaha Center and coming back with 2 new swimming pools. On the lower deck would be a pool, a family type pool. And on the upper deck where the adult pool is now, we can't have adult pools anymore. We can have a quiet pool and having one there. So this particular proposal from these 2 contractors is for 2 pools of the 4. All new plumbing, pump house, system, the whole 9 yards. I know that David has asked us to maybe see about getting a saltwater quote versus a chlorine, which is what they've quoted. And since we've been sitting here, Capri Pools has sent over their bid. And so we do have a third one. I just can't open it on my phone to see what it says or to share it. But that was the third company that we've been waiting on bids. Checker Flag Pools came in with a low price of $720,000. This particular pool would have, they listed as an adult pool, but it has to be called a quiet pool, which is a 38 by 62 rectangular pool. It will have a 0 entry, which will accommodate our handicap requirements. It will have tanning ledges on each side of the pool where the chairs will sit in the water there, and then it will have a section in the middle that will go from 0 to 6 foot. Right now that pool is 9 foot deep. There's no reason to have a pool that deep. And I think that's a sufficient size, pretty similar to the sizes up there right now, maybe just a few foot difference. The new pool built with checkered flag on the bottom is a 60 by 90 free-form pool that also includes a 400-foot lazy river that goes around it. Has a couple of fences, a couple of bridges that goes over it. It has a rock structure that has a slide. It covers everything, both of these bids, including the one the other gentleman sending, electrical is not included. So getting the electrical done, somebody will have to pull a permit and hook everything together on the electrical side. But they'll do the plumbing, they'll do everything else. That one is the $720,000. I have a local gentleman who's coming at $802.50. He's not coming back with a lazy river or anything like that, but he's got a 60 by 90 zero entry pool. The upper pool would be a 40 by 60. And his bid, of course, handles all the demolition, all the concrete rebuild. He's given some side estimates for upgrading a pump house versus just a covered pavilion for where the equipment is, fencing, more dirt work, sod, stuff like that. But both pretty comparable in size, equipment, all of that. These will come with if we go with chlorine, with an automated chlorine type dispenser that tests the chlorine at night, and it'll adjust how much it disperses depending on what the water needs. Where right now, every morning we're at Thunderbird at 6:30 or 7, taking chemicals back into the pool, trying to adjust. That would kind of take some of that out. Both of those offer that. That's a big jump from 720 to 802. If this is the direction we're thinking, then I say my next steps are to start getting some references.
You said it was 30.
There is a third one, I just have no idea what it says or what it is.
It's not fair
This
to-
afternoon.
Yeah, it's not fair, we didn't get that one in time to print and have it available for this, but that's why this is new business. We don't need to make a decision until next SID meeting, unless we ran into an issue where we would have another public meeting and invite people to hear what our proposal, because when we start talking about $800,000, I personally get nervous looking at our finances. And when I talk about that, how do we afford to pay it? It's something I'd like to look at how we're going to do that. I do love the idea of having a lazy pool that is like a river. If you've been on that, it's spectacular. And it's much better than what we had been quoted by Memphis Pools. Memphis Pools, when I talked to them, when I first became a commissioner, wanted $1.5 million if they even come over here. Is that the same
Bruce
situation?
was 2.2 to try to fix what we had. The other thing that they said about the lazy river was very common in senior communities because a lot of people will walk against the water as an exercise. So I thought that was something that might be a little more inviting to not just our kids, but for our adults. And in speaking to the public, something that I mentioned to someone and they said, I don't know if people realize this. When our lawsuit was settled, there were two things that happened from that lawsuit, and one of them was that we stopped paying the city for the roads and the streets. That was about $806,000. That's the money that we've been spending. The money that we didn't pay to the city is what we've been able to allocate to the repairs of our facilities. The same funds that we should have been using all these years, and we would have never gotten to this place. It's the years of deferred maintenance and not keeping up, which has gotten us to where we are. And it's not going to change overnight, and it's got to be a little more than some lipstick on the pig. But that's where these funds are coming from. Each year that we bring those assessments in and increase those assessments, those are going back to our amenities, not to the city anymore. So that's where these funds are coming from. And when we question how do we do this, that's what's happening.
So we're putting your money to work, folks, the best we can. And we're trying to be real smart about it. and make sure that we don't spend money irresponsibly.
Betsy, would there be a way we could have these quote companies come to our next meeting with like a PowerPoint display or a board?
These two for sure. These are both local. The other guy is going to be out of Missouri.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he could. Maybe he could send us something that we could put up and
Right.
show. I know anything that we do, this all sounds great, but until Arkansas stamps it and says it's approved,
Right.
it might have to change.
Right.
You know, I think our big decision is, do we move forward and do something new versus trying to fix the old stuff? And I think that our quotes are showing us that we can get new for less than we can try to fix what we've got. But all your drawings and everything will have to go to Little Rock and be approved. So, you know, they say over here 8 skimmers. Little Rock may say it's 10. They may say it's 6. They'll be the ones that makes that final decision, and we've just got to determine how we want to move in with it. So would you like me to start checking some references and forward our third quote? So
Yes,
we can
ma'am.
have that for our next meeting?
We would absolutely, I can speak, I think, for all the commissioners.
I can do.
Please do that, and if you need some help, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to do some legwork as well.
No problem. Thank you.
Marshall Dillon is always on the deal.
Thank you.
Let's move forward to the next one, new American Tower proposal.
American Tower is the telephone cell tower that's in the corner of Oak Mulkey and Cherokee Acres. Right now, we collect $507 a month lease on that land, and it's a limited lease. They've come back and offered a lease extension, but the rent goes down to $380 a month. Or this time, they've given us a second option to sell that piece of property, and they've offered us $53,250. That's what I suggest. We're never going to do anything with that land. It's on the corner right there at Cherokee Acres. That's more than we're getting any lot sales for.
I can't understand why they went down on their lease.
It says the 5% term of the escalating would commence on the 2024, and they're removing the non-paying revenue. So they're trying to make it a longer lease and pay less. I don't think $380 a month is going to do a whole lot for us. $53,000 could go.
We could put that to good use.
So they said removing the non-paying revenue share. Were we getting any revenue off of that?
Well, it was 507 is what we were getting before, so it wasn't revenue, but it was a higher percentage. It's just a shorter term.
How big is that lot?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh,
off the
fuck
top
that
of my
big.
head.
It's, when you,
Well, if we sell it out, what we should do is check some of these other places that are renting towers out and see what they're getting for.
Okay.
Because they need that tower. We need it too.
All right, but they can also move it.
make it all.
They can also move it.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said. We need it too.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept option 2 and just sell it to them for $53,000. We can't use it for anything else. You know where it is? It is new business, we move it to, but you know where it's sitting, right, as you turn into, and it's one of those lots you need to be a go.
Once the buzzard said, oh, no.
Yeah, that's it. But, so
I'd
what's
like to know the size of the lot too, before we can
Okay.
sell it. If we do.
Motion's been made by Ms. Jett
Yep.
to
Table it.
accept option number 2. Is there a second for that motion?
Don't we have to put it in old business? I think I spoke
I'm
out
sorry,
there.
it does. I'm trying to push it forward because I'd like to get that money in the bank so we can get that swimming pool system going, baby. I'm telling you, that's going to be a huge monkey off our back. Did I say that just right? Boy, howdy. I'm sorry. I did skip with it.
Betsy, if you can get the size of the lot and the value on it, we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right, let's table that for next.
I make a motion, we put this in old business for the next meeting with current prices for Betsy.
Gotcha.
So motion to make this old business, move it to old business by Mr. Nebel. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Kaiser. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. We'll move it to old business for discussion next month. I'm trying to move things so that we actually get some stuff done.
There you go.
I'm
Good
sorry,
job.
I'm
Good
pushing.
job.
The next one that Betsy has and we've looked at is the FMBC loans that we have. And Betsy, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So FNBC, we have had a loan with them for years, for the irrigation system.
20 years.
That is now, needs to be replaced. We have an outstanding balance in that loan of $225,184. To secure that loan, we had 5 CDs and the South Golf Course. We can refinance this loan. It would release the golf course and 2 CDs, and we could refinance it, pay it off in 3 years at a 2.5% interest rate. Or you take those 2 CDs that they're going to release, which will total $222,000, and pay the loan off. That will save us $8,779 of interest over 3 years, and it still leaves us with 3 CDs that we could actually turn into some money and give us that 5% everybody's handing out right now. Right now, we would get 0.5% to get a 2.5% money. To me, I like to pay things off. That's always been my mindset. And to be able to get some income off that CD at 5% for a year or 2 until we need it for the future, it would give us a little more money. That's my suggestion.
Now, in typical fashion, I would probably say, let's do it, maybe. But at this point, we have to have a little bit of discussion and then move it into old business by the rules. Is there any additional discussion on this?
Well, let me say this. We can't move this one to old business. We're going to have to make a motion to do this, or we're going to be delinquent on the interest of the current loan.
Thank you. Did
Yes,
not realize that.
$5,000. So yes, we
Yeah,
want to.
that's new information to me, Betsy. I didn't see that in the documentation. So
I'm sorry.
that's all right. That's good to know. So I get to move this one forward and ask for, okay.
You make a motion to suspend the rules,
Right.
vote on it, and
Right.
then move it forward.
Right.
Motion
Motion
by,
to suspend the rules and move this forward.
motion by Mr. Nebel to suspend the rules and move forward. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tony. Is there any discussion?
I say we cash our 2 CDs in and pay the loan off and get us some money, higher interest on the other CDs. That's my proposal.
Any additional discussion?
So you got your vote on suspending the rules already? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
No, we just motioned and second, we didn't vote.
You got to vote on it.
Right, we have to vote on
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye.
That's where I was headed, okay.
Now we're suspended.
We suspended the rules, so at this point, the motion is to pay off the loan that we have with those 2 CDs, and then readdress the CDs for a higher interest rate. And that's what I wrote on my cheat sheet 2 days ago.
And I'll
Pay
share
off
with
the
you what
loan.
those are. We'll shop a little and see what we can get on it.
All right. With that, that's excellent. I'm glad
So
we got to
who
move
made the
forward.
motion to pay it off?
Yes, motion to pay it off.
Who made the motion to pay it off?
David and Tony seconded. Up, did you second it? David, Tony.
Three CDs.
Yeah.
You get your 2 CDs.
There's
Paying off.
3 CDs that we have, that we still have collateral on, that we can roll into a 5% versus the 0.5.
That's what.
And then 2 are gonna cash in, and they're gonna release the golf course as,
Golf course,
Yes.
be ours.
yes, South Course.
The south course.
Boy, that's phenomenal, because that road's been around forever.
Hey, we need to take a vote, I guess.
Well, I did. I asked for a
You did your
vote.
motions,
Oh, we don't.
now take your vote.
Yeah, you've
I'll
got a
just do
motion
it
and a
again.
second.
We had a motion by David to take a vote and says, let's take and sell those CDs, or turn in those CDs and pay the loan off. Seconded by Tony. We already went through the discussion point. Are there any additional discussions on this? Okay. In that case, I'm going to ask and call for a vote. By roll call, Tony,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Susan? Motion carries. Can we do that tomorrow morning?
Oh, good day.
Next, we've been trying to find people who can actually work with asphalt. And I know the cost of it's fairly expensive when you talk to the folks who do the Department of Transportation roads. But Betsy has been trying to find some people who can come in. Betsy, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'm going to give all this credit to George, our maintenance super, who kind of oversaw this and got these prices. If you look at your first page with McNally, they have listed all the locations on one page. If you look at the remaining pages that are backing it up, that is Tri-County, and they gave a bid for each location on an individual page. So if you compare, and we added the Thunderbird Marina on here. There's no asphalt there at all now, but I think that would be a nice upgrade. If you look at McNally, they quoted $39,500, Tri-County quoted $33,000, and that's a 4-inch average base with a 2-inch hot mix asphalt overlay on approximately 11,000 square feet. And that is something new. If you go to the next page, there's Itchigitty Beach. I know we've talked about that a lot. McNally came in at $25,500, Tri-County came in at $32,000. I'm afraid in this case that we do not need to go with the lowest bid. I think Tri-County is going to have the, well, there's no doubt they have the better references. This is who did Artisans parking lot. McNally is who did the holistic parking lot up there at the shopping center. It's holding water already. As soon as I pulled in, that was holding.
You never got anything back from Atlas either, did you?
And Tri-County is who did Artisan. We know what a great job they did there.
Yeah.
And that wasn't an overlay, that was a new one. That was a new
Yeah, that was
page.
all new.
You look at the next page, you got the North Golf Course parking lot. North Golf Course for McNally's $94,500, Tri-County's $125,000. A lot. But it's got to be done out there, and it's going to be more than chipping a seal. North Course bushing, shitting, asphalt overlay on approximately 6,364 yards. That's this parking lot out here. Tri-County did an individual one, and this one has all of them on one page. Omaha Center, 169 versus 134.5. I mean, there's a substantial difference between the two.
Yeah, Tri-County didn't do, Chinook Pope.
They said it needs to be concrete. They said it needs to be asphalt. They said it needs to be concrete. I got a concrete bid to put in on that one.
Okay.
I got a concrete bid coming in from Cody Witten that did our concrete at Thunderbird on Chinook. This guy says, don't put asphalt on Chinook. It's going to end up like the beach. Put concrete. So he did not bid Chinook. This guy gave us a price actually. He didn't say anything about it being good or bad.
And that's 42K difference.
Like it.
And that doesn't include Lake Chinook Park.
We're gonna give them a pay for it.
Yeah, that doesn't include Chanute either. This McNally's, has anybody done any research on them other than one lot?
Well, that was what he had done here local that we could go look at. He gave me Mr. Baird Chevrolet. He says he and his daddy has done his parking lots for 30 years and he's doing them all over Jonesboro and all over Arkansas for him, and he gave him rating reviews. But the only thing I had locally to look at was that holistic parking lot. And as soon as I pull in and see water standing, then I didn't even have to ask anybody what they thought about it. I drove away. Then you go to Artisan. No brainer.
Okay.
Maybe give him a try and get you Goody. He gave us a much lower bid there. You know, maybe that would be something you could let him show us his quality of work. No way we would do all of this at once anyway.
Right. Actually, it was also cheaper at the marina too.
Yep. Get you Goody's going to be a little more challenging because you're going to have to take out what's already busted up and then fix it and then overlay all of it. Where the marina, I mean, it's going to be challenging, but it's going to be a fresh lay. It's going to be a whole lot, I think, easier than what the repair work and the overlay will be at the beach.
No, Tri-County is cheaper.
Yep, 6,000, 5,500 cheaper, Tri-County is at the marina.
Yeah, we did.
It'd be nice to stripe some parking spaces at the marina and
I mean, do we know at the holistic place over there what they were contracted to do? Was it just to overlay what was there, or were they supposed to repair it, or?
Did you ask me a question, Joe? I'm sorry.
Do we know what was contracted there at that holistic place? Was it to fill it in and level it, or was it just strictly to recoat?
There was a recoat, there was already the parking lot there from the
Right.
big UVA.
So it may have already been dipped, and it wasn't their responsibility to fix the dip. You know what I mean?
Oh, it wasn't in the bid?
Right. Might not have even been in the bid. I would hate to discount theirs based on that one particular lot when they really weren't contracted to do anything but just lay asphalt over it.
And Barrett's did give them a great reference, and I mean, that's a big company. And I spoke to Mr. Barrett.
He's also cheaper on the North Golf Course too.
A little bit. No. Tri-County is 125, the North Golf Course with McNally is 94.5.
Oh, I'm backwards.
Now, the Marina's the only one I see less. He's at 33 and McNally's 39.5, so 5,500 less at the Marina.
Well, this is clearly something that has needed to be done ever since I bought a house 10 years ago. And Gitchagumi has been a source of pain for good grief. Every time we are over there and we're seeing people, if you haven't been to Gitchagumi and tried to park, don't. That's all I can say. It needs it, and that's where I would like to see them get right on, just because of the number of people that you've had to battle with and I've had to battle with. And I don't know about Tony and Dave, And Joe, since you know a lot about lakes, you probably have been to Sequoia where that Gitchigumi is and fished a little bit, and you know how sad it is.
That's, at our next meeting, can we also have how we're funding these payments?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, we need funding.
show how the funding is done.
We need to take a look at our finances to make sure that if we pick one, can we pay for it? If we pick two, can we go? That's something
Absolutely.
that if we take a look at what we see in our financials, and those financials, by the way, folks, are available online. You can look at them, you can review them, you can say, hey guys, have you thought about this? To the commissioners, Susan. Hey, commissioners, have you thought about this? And move forward. Tony asked for some additional information about funding, and that should mean that we could move this to old business next time, unless there is an urgent need to bring one of these in line.
Yeah, I think we're good. To your funding question, Tony,
Yeah, just,
as of July 31st, our cash working fund, just our cash on hand, $871,000.
Now, what does that do to the reserves that we're supposed to have, Betsy?
Well, that does not touch any of our additional assets that we have as far as CDs, our inventories, any of our structures, machinery, and our CDs are separate than that. This is
Okay,
actual
yeah.
cash working fund. Our capital account for the golf course is at $200,430, and we spent money out of our working fund to pay for those pumps, which probably should have come out of our golf course capital fund. Yeah, we've got another, almost $500,000 in CDs and other stuff.
I'd like to make a motion to take a break for 5 minutes.
I second that.
Motion denied.
second.
Let's take a break. Sorry, folks. Motion by Mr. Neville, second by Mr. Stolzman, and everybody's
Like
go.
this. 5 minutes. A lot can change.
Hey, Mike, how's your daughter doing?
She works at the mortgage to do, so she's doing
She's smart. I was so sad about how she was.
making more
was-
money too.
I liked what your coach was.
Yeah.
I know. Of course, she's in my prayers. I didn't see her.
No, she's doing great, so. Off the record, when I was president of HOA, we had to resurface all the roads. It was expensive. What I did, or what we did as a committee, board, is we chose the most expensive one because they were the best. So what we did is we proposed a counter offer that was in between the next best bid and their bid. And so they were able to meet us, because there's always these little surprises around the range or something. And so by us negotiating it down, we were able to take a little bit of the for any materials that weren't.
Good idea.
Yeah, hey,
I've written lots of contracts for FedEx. I've written lots of contracts for FedEx and then gone to the lawyers, and it's really interesting to listen to them answer back and forth, lawyer to lawyer.
Yeah.
So that's how I had my friend who's a foreclosure guy in Tennessee. instead of an SID unit, a city that actually the mayor and his people don't necessarily need two entities. We need to have them work together because right now, when I worked with Chuck McMahon, who was a council member for the city as a governor, and we were trying to get a grant of $2 million at one time so we could do these roads and do them right. Not just throw stuff on top like they're doing today. It's a-
Well, they've got a process where they actually heat a square area, and they heat it up and they mix it, and then it's reset, and it's offset like a 5/8 of an inch above, and then it sets in.
Get some of those things like operate when you
One of the
come
things
around
that
and
roads
out.
and streets that we had found in our super scan is they weren't gonna prep the underground. So make sure in these bids, they're prepping the underground. And we're gonna leave that one, because otherwise you're gonna have subsurface migration of water, and it's gonna break it back up.
That's what happened. Chevy Beaver, you can see it, where they obviously put real nice new asphalt down, but they didn't prep.
Yeah, they didn't prep it. So we spent a ton of money on resurfacing all our streets. We did the same thing, we recycled, they tore all the asphalt up and mixed it with a new blend and then reset it in.
That's like when you look at them working on the highways, that's exactly
It's the
what we
same
want to do. Well, thank you, Scott, for that. Hey, are you still going to the clip stuff?
I'm back in town, I plan on going to next door.
Okay, all right. Okay, folks, let's resume, please. 5-minute break is over, folks. 5-minute break is over, folks. Let's please be quiet and resume the meeting. Yes, please. Thank you. We're going to resume the meeting. I think we've pretty well covered the asphalt issue. Tony, you're ready to, you got a good answer?
For the asphalt?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that just goes to
Goes to old business.
old business. Old business.
All right. Let's go to item number E then, the new lease at the Thunderbird Marina. And I don't have a copy of that. You don't have that, I don't think.
David, you gonna speak on that, or you want me to?
Pardon?
You wanna speak on that? You want me to? How do you wanna do that?
Didn't you have,
Scott's here. Scott Bell's here. Jason?
come on, Jason and Scott?
I move that we let Mr. Scott.
There's a motion to suspend the agenda and ask our folks from the Thunderbird Marina to address the council, please.
I'm Scott Paul, this is Jason Fisher. We're about to finish up, like our 37th year in Marine. We've all been there since we were 16.
You're about to finish up what?
37 years at the Marina. This is our 37th season, we're about to close it. But anyhow, Jason took my business partner. We work, our parent company is P.E.G, Inc., who's the contractors PCI Incorporated and moved it to J&L Fisher Family LLC. Because Jason's been taking a lot more responsibilities down there than he has been in the past. It's just more or less an internal housekeeping for us to do. We just want to get the input or the blessing from the commission. If we can do some name changes on the contract before we actually decide to do it. That's pretty much it.
So what I heard you say is all of the activities at the marina will remain exactly as they are today?
Yes.
Just a name change to protect?
Name change, yeah. The reason being, Jason had responsibility of it. Pretty much all of it. I'm in the back all of it, so. The basically should be the same. Yeah.
You usually shut down in October, right?
After Labor Day, we generally go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just because there is zero business. Even right now, this week, once school starts,
Right.
it's open. But we hang in till after Labor Day, and then after Labor Day, we'll go Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the month of September, and then I'll be shut down September 3rd. Open back up again April 1st. And then in the spring, we kind of do the same thing. April, we're usually there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. May, depends on the weather. If it's nice in May, we'll go full-time earlier. If not, we tend to wait till the kids are out of school in the middle of May. Because most of our help is kids, college kids and high school kids. You know, so
Jason will basically be the one running the business in.
that's our plan for next year, yes, the break.
But what we're going to be doing is reviewing the lease at the end of October.
Okay.
Okay, so we just need to see who we're going to be talking to. I have no problem with changing, right now. Like I said, at the end of October, we are going to be reviewing the lease. Okay? That's
So you're just saying, leave the lease like it is, let's finish out this year?
Yeah, we weren't in any hurry at all.
Yes, and go
These are
forward.
different things that we're thinking about doing. Just want to run by you guys before we just decide, okay, we're going to do this.
right.
Without talking it all first.
Right.
It sounds good to me. Okay?
We good?
Yeah.
Thank
so,
you, sir.
Thank you.
So when it comes time to renew the lease, we'll be talking to Jason.
Probably both of us again.
Okay.
I gotta make sure you don't take advantage.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Is there a motion to move this to old business, sir? Pardon?
It just automatically rolls over, yeah.
That concludes our new business activities. Well, I will ask you, Betsy, to go over some of the activities that you and your team have been doing, and some of them are pretty awesome.
Thank you, thank you. We are super excited about the progress that's been going on at the Omaha Center. Of course, the rain that occurred brought us a little hook in our plan, but I project that by the end of the week, we'll be completely finished with all of the trim and everything to finish off the roof. Then we'll start replacing the stained tiles on the inside. Our roofing company will be paying for some of that to be done because we had some leaks during this process. But for the most part, they've been really good to work with. We also were able to complete the interior painting project. There are no longer yellow cinder blocks at the Omaha Center. 50 years of crud has been covered in some clean paint, and gosh, it looks like a different place. Our update on our software integration, we had originally set September 1st as our date to start loading the information into the actual system. I have all 25,000 parcel numbers listed, owners listed, almost got all the values to them on there, and hopefully by next Tuesday, all that information will be loaded into the system, so it will be before our September 1st day. It'll still be about 60 days before it's in full operation, but our part of the loading loading in our information will be over. So that's been huge in our office. Since our election stuff will start next month, that will clearly come off the table, and that will be our next priority. The July financials I sent over to be posted already online. I left some copies out front. Y'all will always notice I make little notes on there sometimes, or I check mark things to kind of bring your attention to. So if you ever have questions, please reach out and ask me. I'd be happy to help you on that. The last thing on here is the lake update on irrigation. So in the past, we've had complaints about people using the lake to irrigate their yards. We went back and we found some documentation back from, I believe it was 84?
82.
82, where there was a lawsuit that was filed in our little town.
The lawsuit was 84.
84 was the
But the
lawsuit?
commissioners passed bylaws in 82.
Okay, so bylaws were passed in 82, 84 there was a lawsuit. I believe it was 21 addresses were grandfathered in that had pump systems. They signed the documentation in the lawsuit that said the day ever came that they sold or moved that those pumping systems would be pulled out of the lake. The next thing that I found was that in 2006 there was an audit done of Omaha, Sequoia, and Thunderbird, and there was another healthy list of new people that were using the lake for irrigation. David has requested that we verify those addresses are still in violation, or if we have new addresses that are in violation of that, and our attorneys have read the documentation from the previous lawsuits, and they're going to send out some cease and desist letters. That will probably happen in the next 30 days. It was real easy to identify who had irrigation and who didn't until that rain last week. Now everything is green, so we feel like this week will be a lot easier to identify who's still green and who's not. Not to mention a lot of people just have tripods set up with sprinkler systems, and their pump is sitting right on their dock and wide open for you to see. So some of them are pretty easy to identify. But that's something that we will be working on with the irrigation issues going forward. And hopefully by next month I will have a detailed list of who's in violation. The only thing that I just wanted to make sure and bring everyone's mind again is that we voted in a previous meeting that we were going to move our elections up for 2024 to January, which means that in September I will be sending out 11,849 property owner letters that we will have a new election. And then in our September meeting, we will discuss how we'll do our nominees for October. November, we will have a month of campaigning. December, we'll get our date set for the election. And in January, we'll have our 2 new places filled. So just something to be thinking about, and noticing these letters will be coming out with the new dates and stuff on them. That's all I have to report.
Very good. I know that there's an awful lot going on, and if you guys get a chance, and you all get a chance to drive by the Omaha Center and take a peek at it, it's really spectacular. And if you're watering your yard from the lakes, please don't. You don't want a letter. With that, let's ask the property owners who are here if they would like to address the commission after you've been through this meeting. You have a point, all right. Thank you, ma'am.
Karen Berry, 49 Chesapeake Drive. You brought up the bulk sale of lots. Have we thought about partnering with the city, creating planned developments for areas where there are bulk lots, send those out, the planned developments out to developers with the request for proposal or request for qualifications in order to get some of these areas built out by developers who could then improve some of the roadways while they're doing that, and some of the water pipes, because they're going to have to increase pipes throughout the roadways as well. But it's a way of getting some of these lots sold, especially in areas small development, whether it be 20, 30, 50, or 100, or 500 homes. But you would need to work with the city in order to create plan developments for those areas and then send out a request for proposals with that.
Thank you.
Tom Trumper, 14 San Alvaro, Tonzo. I would just like to see somebody at that table make some kind of motion to get PA system for this room, because if the ask goes that we go through with batteries and everything else, it's kind of ridiculous for a commission like this.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you, Todd.
I'm Bob Breyer, State Deputy Circle. Disappointed that we didn't consider the people that were on the golf course, probably weren't there to take up with. And I was a lot of that, right? Anyway, what I'd ask you to do, I know we have, when you have the golfers out, especially tournaments, ask them to respect the copyright property, okay, so good. I know there's a tournament that's going to be making a big tournament, so I fully expect the golf balls of the yard, people coming across the yard again, so game on.
If you have people coming into your yard, call the South Golf Course and we can take care of that up there to the South Golf Course. Trespassing on your yard.
Also, I'll make sure that the Lions Club is the one that's having the golf course is out. Maybe we'll make a mess and make sure that people don't go start trespassing on people's property. If you lose a ball over there, you lose a ball, and you get dropped and play another. I figured.
Sadly, the golfers are not the ones that made that decision, so to game one with your golfers is not really the right person to be taking your frustrations on. Just a thought, we're all adults, they're playing golf, you bought a house on the golf course.
Yeah, I'll stop by your house when I'm out on the south and kind of take a look.
Carol Bagel, 23 Oniatara Lane. I hate public speaking, I'll put that up. I'm disappointed in you guys saying that you're gonna do that lot sale, that bulk lot sale. I heard twice that you guys have had it on the table since February, which tells me you guys just shelved it. I heard people say that they were confused about it, which tells me that you guys really didn't bother to investigate it. And I want you to know that I think, I don't have an empty lot next to me, but I think before you bulk sale, you do need to go and reach out to those people who do have a lot next to them that maybe want to buy it.
Yes, ma'am, that was my point earlier, that we needed to take a look at individuals who wanted a single lot when I was talking about
Okay,
that.
but I still think you guys should have, you gotta spend money to make money, and it just seems like you guys selling these off at bulk with that $100, $200 or more at $100, it just sounds to me like you're just trying to get rid of the issue.
No, what we're doing is we're selling them and we're getting them back into the system where we collect the assessment on them. We're not getting rid of them, we get rid of them. We're getting them so we can get them sold, so we can get the assessment back on them.
Okay, and the other thing is that cell tower, $53,000 sounds good, but can't you counter the 300 and whatever? Because 53,000, that's what he was going to give you for the cell tower. That's less than 10 years of a lease at 580. So, I don't know.
That's the reason we want the value of the property. I'm not going to sell it out as what they offer us.
All right, but even can't you counter it?
Well, they asked them to do some research, so before they do anything, we'll do the research.
Okay. And the other thing is, handouts maybe for the audience. Like, you have those asphalt proposals, make them available. Maybe somebody in the audience would like to see them rather than just watching you guys. you know,
Jump all online.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mike Flynn, 4 on Guitar Lane. Just real quick, just I didn't come up here with what she said. On the bids for the proposals, there's nothing saying we have to take every one from the same company, right? Okay. Oh, you were saying some were higher, some were lower, well, I'd like to address, first, we spoke earlier about some misinformation. I don't get my information from anybody else except Sid. And maybe there needs to be some clarity, because I've been told things that I was told today that weren't happening. I was told that there was some carpet bought for the putt-putt golf. Now I found out today there's not. Is anything being addressed with Omaha Lake? Because I've been told there is, but today I was told that some of that was misinformation again.
What information?
Like
The
what?
the algae, the slime.
We've been-
I didn't talk about.
No, we didn't talk about that.
Correct.
No,
We-
didn't come up with misinformation.
Oh, that's bad.
We had friends on our boat yesterday that were looking at the property, and we got run off the lake because of that. It happened last year. We were told, well, let's just turn it over. I was told that turning out every 7 years, you may be familiar with this. I was told.
I can speak to that, if you want me to. The 100%, and you can check with all the biologists and all the people that deal with that kind of thing. The problem with the algae in Omaha is not enough boat traffic to churn the water up, the excessive heat that we have been in, and no rain. There's the reason we have algae. I've lived here 16 years now, and it's been that way for 16 years. As soon as it cools off, the algae's gone. They've sprayed it, they've put copper sulfate out, they've done everything they can, which hurts the fish, but we've done it. And it gets rid of some of it, but until the temperatures drop and we start getting some rain, or people begin to use the lake and churn it up like they do at Thunderbird, you're gonna have a little bit of algae. It is a natural resource and not a swimming pool.
Okay, but it is used, the lakes are here for recreational activity.
Right,
Okay.
which is fishing and everything,
And there's
not
no
just
longer fishing
swimming.
tournaments on Omaha because of the lack of fish?
No.
No,
These
that's not-
guys decided to go to Crown Lake just because they wanted to go to Crown Lake.
Because I have read that the algae hurts the fish, that deoxygenates the water. I was told that there was we were under contract with somebody to manage Omaha Lake. Is that true?
All the lakes.
All the lakes, and I'll let Betsy speak to that because I think he sprayed it within the last week, has he not?
Oh, yeah, and he went back and did some more spraying
Okay, so it
at
is under
Omaha
contract.
because he was addressing where the wind was blowing some pollutants into one particular code, and he went back and retreated that code. But he has a contract for all 7 lakes.
Okay.
And
Because
if
I
you,
noticed, I drive by Chanute, I drive by
Yeah.
Aztec, and they are smaller lakes with less boat traffic than in Omaha.
right,
And you don't witness the algae.
oh yeah.
infestation.
If you drive by it right now, in 5 minutes, Chanute looks worse than Omaha does. I live right by Chanute, I can spit on the dam from where I live, and it is covered in algae, which is due to no boat traffic, no wind, no rain, and excessive heat. And when that drops, you're gonna lose it.
Clarification of information, because we were told last year it's because of the turnover. We've had more heat this year, I understand we've had a lot more rain. I wanted to verify that there was something being addressed.
Last year, we had a major drought, which affected.
That was-
us, like,
that was the explanation last year,
and weeks of no rain whatsoever.
So the turnover will happen. It's going to look worse before it looks better. In September, early October, the lake will turn over. You'll see leaves and muck, and it'll kind of get brown, and then that'll go away and get very clear. But that's a natural thing that happens. So, and don't take my word for it. I would encourage you to call the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission and check with water resource managers, people that manage lakes, and they can fill you in more information than what I know. I just know that it will go away. You just have to be patient. And I understand it's not anything fun to swim in, but Thunderbird gets so much boat activity and waves, and it's unbelievable that it washes that stuff out and it begins to settle, where Omaha really doesn't have that boat traffic.
Okay, but it's not growing on Thunderbird either.
It's a,
That grows up Thunderbird.
You got it.
I got it back at my coach.
Yeah.
It grows in
it just does it in the heat, and
And
yeah.
it breaks loose in the afternoon, I understand. My main concern was, is it being addressed?
Same thing.
Yeah, but I'll address you another way. I can guarantee you right now, it's never gonna go away. I don't care how much money we spend on chemicals. I don't care if we fly over it with a crop duster. It is not going to go away because that's just the nature of the beast of being here in the heat and in these little small ponds that are not fed by any kind of current spring-fed rivers or creeks. That's your problem. So.
Has there been any discussion on aerator system?
Oh yeah, we could put those big paddle wheels out there. I don't know how much they'd cost to put them in or run them, but
Pretty expensive.
fish farms do that, and I don't know how many property owners that want that big paddle wheel going on, and I really think it would be limited in what that would do, but I just think honestly the short answer is just the nature of the beast of what it is. And
I've been back and forth with Betsy a lot, and I've got a few friends over in the law, and we've been talking about that same issue. And Jeff, the guy who gave me the contract, and we just had him started this last fall, he said it's going to take more than one season to get this down to where we can make the property owners happy over there. It's not something that can just be done in one season, especially as I have been here. He's trying all he can, and Betsy would tell, this guy's been going out there, he's done double applications more than he did mess with any other lake. He did say all our lakes, including Omaha, are very clean lakes. Even with the algae there, he still says it's still a clean lake. It's just, as he said, it's just going to have some algae on it like that. So we are doing all we can to try to fight this problem.
How I've been addressing it is as the public sends me a picture or an address or a complaint, I forward it straight to him. When he goes to that lake, if it's something that the property owner needs to do, if it's something that we need to do, or if it's just education that we give, he sends back an email and kind of tells me what's going on at that location, why it's happening, and then I can forward it back to the property owners. I know Mr. Nordier, Mr. Bob, I'm not saying that name right, he's been great at sending pictures, and then we're able to reply back, and then he's been sharing it with his neighbors. And so that's been a lot of help. So if you see something, send it to me. I'll forward it to Jeff, with the information, and then we'll go from there.
The next thing I just come up tonight, you said you're getting a database of all properties. I tried to find a couple of properties. I bought a couple on Omaha and looking at my more than build a house. But I have a couple of properties I'd like to buy that I can't contact the owners. There's no way to get in touch with them.
You guys have talked who the owners are?
According to Arkansas data records, yes, the same website you're speaking of.
Yeah.
But the county can't give a phone number. Would there be any way with the city be able to help contact that person to buy that property? Because once I build a house on that property, the revenue to the city is going to be more. Correct? Than just a vacant land.
Nope.
So the property
So
taxes are the
your
same.
assessments are based upon the value of your land, not what sits on top of it. The only time that there would be a difference in that would be if you were adjacent to the lake or the golf course. So an undeveloped lot has a cap of 3,400, and if you're on a lake or a golf course, that cap would be 7,400 if it's developed. But if it's just a regular lot, it's not going to change for us.
Okay, well, the question was, would the city be able to help in contact with these property owners?
If you'll let me know what those parcel numbers are, we can look up. I mean, if they've been a property owner for 50 years, we may not have a good number either. We get the same information from AR County data as far as addresses.
Okay, well, yeah, the phone numbers blocked.
I may have it, I don't know.
Okay, and as far as the database, it'd be nice to have something like that we can look at.
That's his.
Like you said, it's not the data you have to pull, but you said they're in with a software company that is providing that.
Well, what they did is they pulled the information that I needed to be able to load all of the parcels to our software. So for us to have a new software program, the first thing I have to start with is every parcel that's out there. And then I have to load in all that owner information. So I have all 25,000 parcels now.
Excuse me, this is one that if you wouldn't mind coming into the office and talking to Ms. Robb, I would appreciate
I
that.
didn't hear any discussion about the Lake Omaha today,
Well,
so I want to address that.
We're done right now with that, I think, so,
Just come see me.
thank you very much.
Peter Martin, 158 East Yorkshire Drive. You said, you were talking about property and getting rid of them bulk sales. the reason you have the property, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because a lawyer went down to the courthouse and put a claim on all these parcels of property because that's what the realtor used to have them do, correct? And that's not going to happen from this year forward, correct? So the only reason the properties are sitting there is because of what the last realtor had happened. So
Wait a minute, say that again?
what the last realtor had them do, you paid $10,000 to get, or more to get those wall properties registered in your name last, correct?
Correct. So when he foreclosed on them as our contract, yes.
So what was happening in the past is he was doing that every year, so they would be notified when these properties were sitting there and not getting any contact. So if there was a contact, then all of a sudden you go to SME, and SME would tell a realtor, and the realtor would try to sell it. So that way you were doing a favor for the realtor at that time. So people have to understand that this isn't property like the golf course or property like that is an assessed property. This is property that was done because assessments were being paid on little lots, and they decided to claim all these as back assessments done through a wood. So the other thing that should be thought in when you're doing your bulk sales is how much money you already put out for that, and maybe add that into your bulk, because you already put money out for all these spots. So something's already out of your pocket. Second thing I wanted to ask, if you think about this, is you're able to close off the golf courses from people walking with their dogs, so private property, you can't walk the dogs. That's nice. My father lives on a lake, and the whole back of his property is glass. People out there fishing, and it's no problem when they have the white light on the back and the green and red one on the front. No problem. But you get the guys out there with spotlights, looking them up in the windows, and I think we had somebody over in Omaha that had the same problem. So if we can do that with the golf course, can we put hours on the lake? No, nothing after 12 o'clock at night, and nothing before, well, you're not supposed to ski on Thunderbird until after 8 o'clock in the morning. So might that be something that could be done? So if something happens, and you won't get much from a picture, but you'll at least know that somebody's been out. I mean, 12 o'clock is reasonable for people fishing, I think. Is it? You're fishing. Being out past 12 doesn't usually happen.
If I should be allowed to fish till daylight if I wanted to,
And
but that doesn't matter what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Peter, I bet there isn't 3 people in our whole group that even have a spotlight. And they're not shining your house. None of that's happening. But I'm sure they shine them around the lake to find something, but they're not shining people's houses or anything like that. But we can sure put a curfew on the lake if you'd like. That'd be great. Well,
In my dad's case, it's happening after midnight. So
yeah.
We do know of an individual who was spotlighting in people's house, and we haven't been able to capture them on Omaha. And I know that, and I trust the individual that told me, and I believe that if we could capture them, we would stop it, because the spotlighting into people's living rooms and their house is not acceptable.
Well, and the other thing is, we have the only light on the lake, and it's a down light. It doesn't have any burn marks to anybody or any house around us. And, you know, a person can come around there and sit underneath the light, tie his ties and everything else, no problem. But it's just when after midnight, that spotlight comes in, it annoys him to no end.
Yeah, I'll
Thank you
drive.
very much.
We agree with you.
We agree. With that,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
well,
What about
we have a
executive
little thing
session?
called, do we need an executive session?
No.
I think we've probably
Motion
covered
to adjourn.
everything. So I would accept the motion to adjourn, Mr. Neagle.
I say,
Second by Mr. Stallsmith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say aye.
Aye.